are you?
Great. Hi, Karen.
Mike.
You have fun?
Blast.
Good.
Did you have fun?
Yes. We missed you dearly.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
I haven't seen a designation for Will to be on IR yet. Is that coming? And any other news?
Yeah, we'll put Will on IR here on the whatever it is at 4:00, and sign Miles Battle to the 53-man roster. I put AA on, put Alex Austin on injured reserve. Signed Bill Murray to the practice squad. And obviously Thayer, he signed from Cleveland's practice squad. So just working through some moving parts here as we get to the middle part of our week with Monday night preparation and everything that we'll have to do to make sure that we've got 48 guys that all have a role and understand how they can help us win the game on Monday.
What is it about the players that appeals to you guys?
Well, he was here. It's just, again, guys, it's just at this point in time of the season, there's only so many options. That's what it is. So, he was here. It was somebody that, learned our system and has been working and, felt like this gives us some options here with the guys that we have and then bringing him in as well.
Marcus Bryant factor in that left tackle, or do you think you guys will stick with Vidarian?
I think the plan right now would be to go with Vidarian coming out of that game, and Marcus will be ready to go. Has to be ready to go.
What sort of challenges is that defensive front for the Giants?
Quite a bit. I think 57 of the 66 quarterback hits come from those guys up front. 3 edge guys with Burns, Thibodeau, and Carter, and obviously what Big Dex can do inside. Robertson, Harris, and so those guys are certainly impactful players that have to be accounted for every play, and they rotate them through there pretty good, and so there's a lot of juice there. There's a lot of disruption.
When it comes to preparing for a new play caller on defense for them, just how does that preparation go with you guys there now?
If they can change the defense in a week, I don't know. They're better than we are, but Matt, maybe he pressures more, maybe he plays more cover 2, maybe I would have no idea. But I think that the structure has got to be somewhat the same. Maybe want to pressure more. I think that the calls that they have, those can always change. It would be really hard to completely change, from an under front to an over and base. And, but then, they were pretty multiple before, Evan. And so, I think we'll just always have to be prepared for things that they could do. And, maybe that there's more pressure on early downs or less pressure on third down or whatever those things have been. But I wouldn't have any idea how he would plan on calling it. And we'll have to just see and make sure that we're prepared for anything that could come up throughout the game.
Mike, you mentioned the 48 spots on an active roster. Considering the domino effect that can take place with injuries or absences, like last week, you have most PATs, special teams, when you lose guys, how much of a difference has it made going from 46 to 48 with elevations and those extra game day spots?
Well, it's funny, like every time they move it, it's like, man, we could really use more spots. And then thinking about when the practice squad was 5 or 6 guys, you're like, how do we do this? And it's kind of the same way as probably our parents or our grandparents doing things out of necessity. And now we just have more numbers, so we want to continue to have more bodies. But, I think the lineman thing is good, giving you an extra lineman there on game day. And, whether that's the third quarterback availability and just figuring out what those rules are and how we can, construct a roster that allows us to have the special teams depth and then, some versatility with some players that are playing multiple positions on offense and defense.
Like in the locker room, pardon me, in the locker room when you played, players would talk about accountability within the team. They would talk about how if a player needed talking to, leaders such as yourself would talk to them even before Bill would. Do you see that kind of accountability developing in this locker room with this team?
I think so. I think that's what we always try to build is, the ability to have, hold people accountable, hold each other accountable, not in a negative way, but in a positive way to help themselves and to help the team. So, whatever it was 20 years ago, it was focused on what it's today and moving forward.
Do you find that players talking to other players have more of an effect possibly than a coach talking to a player?
It depends. I think just all depends on what that relationship is. If it's not a very good relationship, it's probably not going to have much impact on it. Same way as it would if a coach that didn't have a great relationship with a player said something, they may not do any good. So I think it comes down to the relationship and how you communicate that to get the desired result.
Like you use the deceptive formation Sunday, letting Hunter play left tackle / tight end early in the game, but it didn't go your way, but opportunity was right there. How do you see those type of unconditional plays, especially from risk and reward perspective?
I think it all comes down to the decisions, and I think just trying to find a way to create next plays and on offense. I think we've talked about the difficulty of creating those explosive gains so that you're able to change field position and give yourself a little bit of momentum. Whether we call anything, it's making a decision based on whether it's a good look for it or not, and understand that we can reserve the right to punt, and not everything that we call is going to be into a great look, and defensively it's not going to be into a good look. So we'll continue to try to find ways to create some X plays, and hopefully that it'll go better the next time.
Mike, you guys have been able to create some of those explosive plays in some extended play sorts of situations. Drake seems to be really adept at those. Would this be a week though where you might encourage him to try to get rid of the ball more quickly, just based on the opponent and the changes?
Well, I think that's based on how many guys are in protection and what the coverage is, and not just getting rid of it and just throwing it into a team meeting and just saying, well, I got rid of it quickly. I think it's about understanding the intent of the play and, where you feel like you're protected and where you maybe aren't. And when the ball has to come out on time, and, we've seen him transfer up into the pocket and keep two hands on the football and keep his eyes downfield. And then when we leave the pocket, we got to make great decisions and remain a passer, but also understand that these guys are coming. And you've seen a lot of hits at the sidelines from all the quarterbacks, and just you better get out or get down. And if they got a foot in bounds, you've seen some good shots by guys on the sidelines that have been called penalties and then picked up in replay assist, because that's what the rules are. So. To those defenders that are doing that, and they're doing it legally, that's what they're going to try to do. So, we always have to be smart when we're out of the pocket.
Like you said a lot this time of year with the weather changing, you got to be able to run the ball, play defense December and January. Does that kind of conventionalism hold up to scrutiny in your experience as of late playing football games this time of year?
I think good football and taking care of the football certainly is critical, and then depending on how bad those elements and things are. I think special teams becomes important, in the field position and, what the wind is like, and being able to make field goals in, adverse conditions all play into it. So the ball is critical in this type of weather, and, certainly want to be able to do those things that you mentioned and be able to run the ball and, stop it. But, possessing the football and making sure that you're smart with the football probably is going to go a long way.
What challenges Will and Jared? I know you guys were waiting on some results the last time we talked. Is the expectation
that neither of them will be out there this week? That's the expectation. I can pretty much guarantee you that.
Mike, you talked about the kicking game. Andy was named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week, but also what Julian and Bryce have done together as a unit. How have you seen them stay consistent all season long?
Well, they travel in I don't know what you call three people. Maybe it's a pack. I don't know. But is it a trio? They travel in trios, and you see one, you see all three of them, and it's like they're kind of working on their thing. And I think Bryce has been pretty calming for both of those young guys. I think Jeremy and Tom have done a nice job with that particular group. I think Bryce has really gotten comfortable with his technique and been able to put the ball in places, and I think help the coverage. Andy's been good for us, and happy that he can have some success. And then Julian continues to work extremely hard on his craft.
Mike, as it gets later in the season here and the games sort of just ratchet up in terms of importance, if you thought it would help spark your run game, would you be more willing to use Drake in a designed quarterback run game?
I mean, we've had some of those plays, and we've called some of those plays, and so I just you kind of want to be careful. Guys are going in concussion protocol left and right, and again, we'll be willing to do anything to win a football game, but just I think being smart is probably the biggest thing. And we've run Drake, and he's run himself, and then we've handed it off to the running backs, and so I think it's just about a good balance of plays that we feel like can help us.
Mike.
To go back to Will Campbell for just a minute, what's your message to him as he kind of attacks his first NFL rehab with hopes of coming back this season?
I just keep him engaged, and he comes into the meetings and stays engaged, and works hard to get back and to recover quickly, and that's all it can be. It's if you want to have a good long NFL career, you're going to have to battle through some of these things, and these things are going to come up. And I would say that he's already working hard, extremely hard to get back, and being engaged in the meetings, and so it's kind of what it'll be for 4 weeks.
Zoom out here, a little lighthearted. Where does Thanksgiving fall on your power rankings holiday list?
I would say it's outside the top 3. Yeah, probably.
What are you thankful for?
The opportunity, my family. I think that having them here this week is going to be good. Going to be nice. And then I would say the opportunity to coach this team. I think there's players, the coaches, the staff. That's what I'm thankful for. Got some good friends that have helped along the years, and how about you guys? I appreciate you guys. I'm thankful for you guys.
What are the top 3?
Christmas is number 1. 4th of July is a close second. Big firework guy. And then it's a toss-up, St. Patrick's Day, Halloween, they're all like, after Christmas and 4th of July, there's a big drop-off.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys. See you Friday.